Hi, I'm David Kelso, your neighborly podcast nerd with the Appleton Podcast Co-op, and welcome to the podcast Fast Class. Lesson 7, we talked about branding elements. Lesson 8, we're talking about distribution and trailers. Now, the purpose of a distribution host is to give you a friendly user interface for combining all of your audio, cover art, and text information. So you take all of those ingredients and they stew together to spit out an RSS feed. So that's what that host does, and that feed is very important, as the RSS feed is an agnostic way to get your show out to so many different listening platforms like Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon, while still keeping ownership in your hand and sort of keeping things smooth and efficient across the way, so you don't have to go to each single one and upload your new episode every single time. Now, what can be daunting about distribution hosts is that there's literally a million of them, ranging from $0 all the way up to hundreds. So I just saw a new one coming out last week. So there's a lot of options out there, and it can be intimidating. So the biggest thing to take away is, know what you're going for on your podcast. It really depends on your needs. So I would suggest, if you're starting out as just a hobbyist, start out with Anchor or Podbean. Those are some great low-cost options for you. If you start to grow and get bigger, there are some other great options, and the import process is super easy to be able to transfer from place to place. So next, taking that RSS feed, you take it and you submit it to the listening platforms. So once you've submitted to them, as long as you don't have any problems or you don't change hosts, that feed will stay the same. So once you get it there, you're good to go. Your show will populate, but it does need to get approved. So that's not an instantaneous process, particularly on Apple, which is still probably the place where people listen most. Although Spotify is preferred for listening to music, Apple still has a majority of the downloads for people listening. So you do kind of have to tailor there. But it takes really ranges from 3 days to 7 days for Apple to actually approve your podcast and get it onto there. Now, they recently did redo their user interface on the back end, so there is a little bit more scheduling that you can do into it, so you can get it approved and then you can schedule out stuff. So that's kind of something to factor in as well, but it does take some time to get approved. I would suggest dropping a trailer. This is one great for on-ramping people to get familiar with your show without having to commit to a full episode or anything like that. And it's great because you can, in order to get your show approved by the listening platforms, you have to have some kind of audio in your RSS feed. Now, maybe you don't want to drop a full episode right away to make sure it gets approved before your marketed day. That's where the trailer comes in handy for that. And that trailer should really be, 2 to 3 weeks before you launch. It should be short, sweet, and really get people excited about your show. So when it comes down to it, what distribution host are you looking at? Let us know. We'd love to be involved in the conversation. Maybe we can offer some helpful advice and see, because we've used a ton of them. We got a large variety of hosts from the members that we have in our group. So don't forget, this first season of APC Presents, you can start a podcast, and if you do, you could win some free gear. Check out appletonpodcast.com for more information. And thank you for joining me for the video version of the podcast Fast Class. We'll see you next week.